The
Yeah,
screen
this
share.
game is so my game is so good that I want to gatekeep it. So we ended the stream actually prematurely. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Um, no, kind of in the vein of like more pixel RPG kind of vibe. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my next game is actually a game that I feel like no one, for the most part, like that I personally knew had gone to it until I kind of saw kind of a couple more people kind of coming into it. It's also an indie game. It's called To the Moon. It's created by a studio called Freebird Games. I'm just gonna go ahead and share
And
some
I'm
of the
just
gameplay
fixing
here.
the name because it's creating it as a separate stream, so I'm gonna have to
Gotcha,
post it
gotcha.
up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and
Whoops.
share.
Sorry guys. First time doing it, so doing the stream like this, so it's you're gonna have shit come up,
Oh well,
unfortunately.
fuck it. We'll do a live. We'll do a live. Anyway, again, like I mentioned before with Okami, I just really love games just suck you in with the story. Like gameplay could always be whatever. Yeah, to me, if it's repetitive or monotonous, you can. I feel like I can kind of give it a pass if it's just like really
Mhm.
enticing and it just keeps you in there and it keeps you really hooked in. And this is just one of those games where they just put all their points in the style and the writing in this
Mhm.
game. Um, Into the Moon, you play as a set of scientists who have discovered a new technology with the discovery of a meteorite that
Oh,
allows you to
okay.
jump into people's dreams. And the main story in here is that you play as these two scientists who get a house call to this man who's basically on his deathbed. Um, and his request is for you and the other scientists to jump into his memories and to like help him achieve something that he couldn't have achieved like in his life personally, right? So
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, so these are the two main characters here. We got Neil and Dr. Roslin. They are
I also like this art style too. Like anything that looks like this, pixel based or any of that.
yeah, it's so reminiscent to me, like, because I also very much love I forget the whole genre of it, but just like these old RPGs that were like independently made, and a lot of them were horror game based. What was
Mhm.
what was the engine? RPG Maker. RPG Maker games was kind of the vibe where it's like there's a lot of free assets and all this and that, but it allows you to go ahead and like upload your own art, upload your own characters, and it realistically gives you like the whole roadmap to be able to create, um, your own product, and like obviously like this isn't a lot of glitz and glamour here, but like it does give you
Mhm.
the ability to create something that can capture people, and this to me was like the first, or at least one of the first, just pure story based games in kind of the pixel art space. I was like, man, I could just not stop watching this. I could not
So
stop
so
reading
it's
it.
so point and click. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean it's
Or
WASD. You could click on stuff, but like, and there's a
oh,
couple
okay.
like puzzles and stuff that are in here. Just based on like some of the
I
things in
think
the
this is
game.
actually on my wit list, wish list.
I mean, better be in your inbox, you know,
Yeah.
but by the time we finish this, but it is. I don't know, man. It's just like one of those things where like it's part of its nostalgia, but like they ended up getting a DLC as well. That's kind of like an addition
Hmm.
to the story, but it's just a really beautiful. There's very few games I would say like it's almost feels like it's its own work of art. You know, like I
Hmm.
feel like this is just one of those little indie gems that just really made me fall in love with it. And also like one of the things that I like just personally because I'm a musician and like music is a very important aspect to a lot of the stuff that I like to enjoy here. There's like a song that gets played throughout the game that's like a reoccurring motif all the time. You know,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
the elderly gentleman that they had like are going to see, he wrote the song for his loved one, right? And
Yeah.
he's like teaching that down to like his grandkids and stuff, you know and like the grandkids end up playing the piano as well, and they're trying to play the song together and stuff. It's very just like sweet and beautiful moments that you wouldn't think about, um that you wouldn't maybe really expect too often, not from a pixel art game. Maybe just because maybe there's a pre-recognition of like, and it's just a whatever type of game. It's just kind of fluff. Who cares? But I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit just so you can kind of see some of like the other different environments and stuff. Maybe see some of the other characters here. Yeah. So like this is just like them going into like the patient's home and stuff, right? And
Right.
they're just like trying to like get more information from like the family and stuff to figure out like what it is that this person really
What
wants.
did you play this on? Did you play this on PC or was it?
Yeah, I play this on
Okay.
PC, but it's all. I also have a copy of on Switch. Limited Run Games actually did a short like release of it physically, but other than
Mm,
that, there wasn't any sort of major push beyond that. Um, I highly recommend this one. Again, like the writing is just super good. The style of it is just super fun. And if you just want something that you could just sink a couple of hours into and be like, man, I feel like I have been charmed. I have laughed. If you're sensitive enough, you probably want to cry. Maybe you want to punch a hole in the wall. I don't know. Whatever works best for you. You know what I mean? But it's just it's just a beautiful game to me, and I don't know, like it's one of the few games that like when I would hang out with a couple of buddies of mine back in college, and we would like make like we would do game jams and stuff, and we would work on things like this. Like this was one of the points of references I would like give people to be like, I like this type of game, and I think this is the style that we should go for, at least in terms of like infrastructure, like pixel art, good music, and just focus on writing good stories, and then just kind of go from there. Um, Easier said than done. However,
yeah,
um, it was just super fun to just go around and start playing this game. And I really hope that more people get into it. It definitely did get like its kind of bump in popularity. It's not severely underrated because like there were a couple people who were like I guess popular like YouTubers or Let's Players or whatever, and they kind of helped propelled it upward and stuff. Um, but just in terms of like the grand scope of like how many games that come out all the time, it's not that hard for a game to get like 5 seconds of fame, then die out, and then kind of go back to being like, all right, it's kind of nothing anymore, right? Um, so I'd still call this a pretty underrated or slash hidden gem for myself personally.
that's cool. Yeah, I'll definitely pick it up, especially since you played it already and you
Highly
recommend it because
recommend it.
I've heard good things. It kind of there's another game that aesthetically, not to say it looks worse because it's an art style choice, but it
Yeah,
doesn't look like this. I'm trying to remember the name of the game. I picked it up. I haven't finished it, but everybody recommends this game, and it's like a very low bit stylistic game. You may know what I'm talking about. It came out and you're playing this character that's walking around through the world and it it's weird though because it's also very sort of earthbound like but oh god if it comes to me I'll bring it up but
I mean,
um
big shout out to Earthbound though. I mean, like I feel like Earthbound
yeah
doesn't inspire this one as much, just because like this one's a bit more of a straightforward game in terms of the storytelling. But has just like its own sort of like charm and unique style out there to it, man. And it's definitely for anyone else who's listening, if you haven't played it, 100% check it out.
yeah and for our next game I highly recommend this game is really fun very metroidvania-esque it's Tales of Iron. I do think it's worth your time. I apologize if there's any spoilers in here, but I'm throwing out warnings just in case because these gameplay videos, I don't know what these people have included, if they have all cutscenes. But the art style is very good. It's weird because it's kind of like
Done.
Metroidvania, but then it's kind of like a Souls like at the same time because you got to time your attacks and stuff like that and guard. And what I love about the game is that it's actually narrated by Doug Cockle, who does the voice of Geralt in the Witcher series, even the Witcher animated series. Um, so it's like good voice acting, and he's narrating the whole story as everything goes on. And it's funny because when the characters talk and stuff, they're mice or creatures or toads or whatever. So you hear them like the mice squeaking and stuff like that, and then you're reading the text. But you get to equip different gear, and you see the gear on him, so it's got
Yeah, that
stats and
that mouse
stuff.
dripped up as hell.
Yep. And then you get to. It looks like this person's playing on PlayStation or they're using a PlayStation controller but it's also dark. Clearly, as you see
Oh yeah,
people
what
getting
gave that
stabbed with
away?
yeah, like you see people getting bashed up and stuff like that. But it's it's a good game, and it's something that kind of went under my radar for a while. I was like, how did I miss this? This is like a really it came out of left field in my world. I was just like, where like I saw like good reviews and stuff. I do like Metroidvania. I do like Souls-like games. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, equipping gear, seeing the gear on your character actually equipped, then this is one of your games. And there is some DLC stuff too, and you can get like DLC gear that looks really cool. And also, it was popular enough that Tales of Iron 2 came out. So that's already out. You don't have to wait for that. If you enjoy this game and you have a good time with this one, Tales of Iron 2 is out. I haven't gotten a chance to play that one yet, but I already own it. Um, it's one of those.
I mean, it does look pretty sick though.
Yeah, I'm
Again,
just
this
skipping
just
ahead. Look at the boss
oh
fight.
hell, Jesus, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and
You know,
he's got the crossbow.
yeah, yeah. It does. I mean, a little bit similar to like kind of Hollow Knight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was
Just,
thinking.
just, just it's because it's like creatures in Castlevania, right? It's kind of like
Hmm.
that stack of just like dark, grim fantasy, but also like put it with like something as like silly as like we're gonna put bugs and mice as like the main character, but like
Yeah,
these are stacks. I mean, they are going pretty gritty with like yeah, I mean, pretty dark and I want maybe I don't think gory is the correct word, but I mean it's probably somewhere in the same vein of just like it's raw, what I mean, like they're not treating it as if it's a kid's game, you know what I mean,
yeah,
despite what the initial stack might look like.
yeah. It was, yeah. Despite they're like mice that are
Yeah, it's got that stack of if you
talking.
give a mouse a cookie, but when you play the game, it's like oh my god,
Oh
this
yeah,
is
here's
bubonic plague.
here too. Like when you talk to characters in this game, which I find really interesting, they don't just tell you words. Sometimes the narrator will explain something, right? And he'll
Hmm.
say while you're walking through the world, he may say something like your thoughts or what you were thinking as a character. But when you talk to actual characters, they show you symbols and pictures, and then you got to figure it out. Like, watch, he talks to this person, and he's like, you want to go in this direction. You want to go up to the thing that looks like that. So you're
Hmm.
right. And you're like, okay. And then you see the narration at the bottom, and then that's Doug Cockle narrating everything. But it's got that parallax effect too when you're walking. So you see like the background kind of
Yeah, you
like
can see the
moving
way it's
as you,
shifting and moving and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So it's if you
That's
haven't played
beautifully
this,
made though.
yeah, I recommend this. I have it on Switch and it runs really well, at least from where I was playing.
Yeah,
But I do recommend this one for anyone wanting to take a game on the go. It's even better if you can get it on handheld. But if you don't have a handheld or not planning to get one, you can play it on like PS5, PC, things like that.
pretty
But
good.
if you do get it on PC, you can play it on the Steam Deck. That's where I have it too. I have it there. I re-got the games because they were on sale on Steam Deck. So um, yeah, just for performance, just in case you know any hiccups. But from what I've played, these games play very smoothly. So.
I like it. I like the whole overall aesthetics of it though. Like I can imagine like with just kind of like the rawness of it and kind of like the charm of it being kind of
Hmm.
it's kind of like a mishmash of like different ideas,
Yeah,
like you
and
mentioned
here's the
before.
Metroidvania portion where you
Yeah,
see the maps.
that's definitely Metroidvania. If that's for sure.
Yeah, it's
Jeez,
definitely a blend of different games. So it's a hidden gem in my mind. I think
yeah,
they
for
did.
sure.
I think the games did well. However, it's just games like this I like to shine a light on because it's like we need more stuff like this. I love stuff like this. Hollow Knight,
Nice.
those. And I'll stop sharing that. But what's your next game, Sonny? You have any?
Yeah, so like my first two were all about like these games are so beautiful they changed me as a person. Like I
Hmm.
started donating to charity because of how moved I was. This is not one of those games. This is I was 10, it looked raw as hell and that's it. And it just was just another one of those like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and see if this will share here. It is a PlayStation 1 game called Rising Zan, the Samurai Gunman. Now, if you're hearing that going, excuse me, yes. If you are a fan of Devil May Cry, God Hand, any character action game, this is the originator of it. Like legitimately, like any sort of like cringe main character who thinks they're cooler than they really are. You know what I mean? But they can actually
Hmm.
do some kind of badass stuff. That this was probably like the first documented game of what that was. So the story of this game pretty straight and forward. There is a cowboy. Well, here you go. Once upon a time, a blue-eyed boy from the old west learned one of life's cruelest lessons: that evil was bigger than his gun. So he followed the footsteps of a mysterious master to the far east, where he learned the secrets of the sword, and came back home with the heart of a gunman and the soul of a samurai. And then it's got the super epic music video.
Oh, I haven't played this. I thought it was the other one for some reason. I kept thinking of the the little Munchkin samurai
I
guy. I
know what
don't
you're
know in
talking
my head.
about.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
kept popping up in my head.
it is literally about a cowboy who fights a samurai, gets the crap beaten out of him, and comes back with a scar. And then he goes to try, like the intro mentioned, and now he's got like the aesthetics of like a cowboy and a samurai. Um, and it is such a weird game, but it is also the coolest game I've ever played because combat wise, literally you can do combos with your katana, but you could also straight up use your pistol and just like go rapid fire. But like you're fighting like evil ninjas and geishas and other stuff like that. But like it's cowboys and horses, you know what I mean?
How did I miss
And
this one? I would definitely play something like this. I have
it
an emulator, so
I mean, it is so good. Like, I mean, it speaks for itself with just the aesthetics of it. But let me
see how long
pop.
that pistol was?
Oh yeah, dude, he could shoot rockets out of that thing. By the way,
What the fuck?
yeah,
Anything
it,
goes.
yeah, for real. So like, here's some gameplay of it.
What the fuck? He just did like a super run.
Oh yeah, that it's just so good.
He did the
He's doing
helicopter
Naruto.
spin.
Oh yeah, he could do the Yoshimitsu
Yeah.
helicopter thing. But like literally he just like you're going through and you're fighting different enemies and stuff of like towns and things that have been like infiltrated, um by basically like these uh clans or whatever, or like these Japanese like gangs that are like coming through. And like it's a little graphic and gory. It's got that, yeah, that it's like almost like a Pulp Fiction type of aesthetic. But then like there you go, you're eating sushi out of a box to recover your
Right.
health. And then there's like super crazy combos, insanely weird mini games, and of course there's like super hyperactive like boss fights or whatever, and just like again, like you're just doing like the dumbest stuff all the time to try to get this going. I think there's a, yeah, it shows like the boss fight here. Like,
The church. This
so
guy's
like, you go and
blind.
you go and you think that you're gonna fight like the big boss of this town, right? And you're gonna get him, and of course he's running away. But before he lets you go, yeah, he decides to give you a little parting gift here. He drops a gigantic bomb on you, and you gotta button mash with all your might, or else you like. I don't think
Oh
you die
my
instantly,
god.
but you
Up,
do.
down, left,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
circle, X, square, triangle, O, and
yeah. You gotta play
yeah.
everything basically, and then of course you go through it. This was one of my favorite parts. The reason why he's running so fast is because there's a part like a mechanic in the game where like you can like do, you basically get like a EX gauge type of deal, and like you go like
Hmm.
hyper mode, and your sword basically turns, it's like 8 feet long, your pistol's like 3 times in length or whatever, and like you could shoot super fast and you could do crazy fast combos and whatnot. Oh, and this was always my favorite part.
You get like a freaking
you
fatality.
oh yeah. Now if you like, this person didn't mash just now, but if you did, you would do like a crazy sick combo,
Hmm.
and then they would do a whole bunch of stuff, and then he would go ahead and slash them, full on Kill Bill style and everything.
Damn. They were like, we're not showing that.
Yeah, and again, like it's all just about him like running around, going to like save these people, right, from people who have like invaded their homes or whatnot. Um, but it really is like the progenitor to any and all of those games, like I mentioned before, like character action
Hmm.
games. Like I'd even probably say like a Metal Gear Rising type of game,
Hmm.
God Hand and Devil May Cry, especially like
Yeah.
Dante. Like Dante is this guy. You know what I mean? If you took
Yeah.
Dante and you gave him a gun, that's it. That's all it is, right? Um,
Hmm.
I don't know, and it's just like such a weird like culture clash too, right? Because it's definitely like the Far East meets the West type of aesthetic, the Old West kind of aesthetic,
Hmm.
and you would think like, we've had cowboys and samurais before in some other types of media, but this is just like on crack. It's just such a absolute like like almost like a parody almost.
Yeah.
It feels like at times.
Yeah, I
But
can see the
it's
weirdness, but I would play that. That's
it
interesting.
the only thing that sucks about it is that the camera I remember
Mhm.
is just super terrible. But like it is like for despite what you see with it just being like a hack and slash kind of vibe, like there's cool intricate combos you could do. There's a bunch of cool modes that you could kind of go into and like combos you could do. Like you have to be aware of like the enemies that you fight because like those straw uh things that you saw in the beginning when you first entered the stage and like some of the ninjas are they're pretty easy, just like go ahead and fight them, whatever. But then you have some people who are like they're zoners, right, or they only do long range attacks, so like you have to be able to like dodge and bob and weave, and there's like a whole training mode too and stuff, like it's insane.
Mhm.
um One little thing that I want to bring up about this, the main song in this game, there's two versions of it. There's the version that they made for the American release and the Japanese release. The American release, it's more on the west, old west kind of style. It's like an old country rock kind of song talking about them. Like it's
Yeah,
something you
they
would
do
imagine
stuff
out of
like
like,
that.
yeah, it's something you would imagine out of like King of the Hill, you know, like it's
Yeah.
kind of more in that lane. And then the Japanese version actually had a what was it? They got, I forget the singer's name, but he's the singer that did the Hechala intro song of Dragon Ball.
Oh, I
Yeah,
think I know what you're talking about.
chala, hey chala. Yeah, they got
Mhm.
that guy who sang it to sing the Japanese version of the intro song.
That's awesome though.
And like this, it's not even like, oh, it's the same song, but like the lyrics are different. It's just like a completely different song. You know,
Yeah, different audience.
well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah,
it's an entirely different graphic, but I think that's what was kind of like the hidden genius about them marketing it to like two different types of markets, was that they could have an aesthetic for the Westerners and for the Japanese
they still do stuff
audience
like
as
that.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's definitely like if you grew up here in the States, you got King of the Hill. If you're Japanese, you got Super Sentai Power Rangers themes instead. And
Yeah.
both are super sick. And it's not even like a super long game. It's just a really weird one that just kind of
There's
like didn't
probably
get a lot of
ways
traction,
to
whatever.
there's probably ways to play the English version but patch it with the Japanese like
Oh,
music too, I'm sure.
probably do
Yeah.
100%. I mean, this probably
I've done stuff like
already.
that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you could just go ahead and get the ROM for it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And throw in an emulator, and then like you're done. Get I'm pretty sure there's people with custom menus who let you mess with the audio anyway. But like it was just such a super weird game that I just never thought about, other than well, when you brought this topic up, I was like, "What's an obscure game you don't think anyone ever played?" I was like, I got at least one that I don't think most people ever played,
Yeah,
if
I
you ever
never
share it
heard
on
of it.
this.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised because I've gone through a list of like RPGs and games for the PlayStation 1 that I wanted to try out that I didn't get a chance to. But
I mean, and like
s-
it's super cool. It just oozes like that type of aesthetic. You know what I mean? And like you really kind of see where like this was the progenitor to all those other
mhm,
type of games that ended up coming out. And like it's really weird too because like you don't really see too many of these type of games coming out anymore. And like kind of for the obvious reason. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of its own niche thing, and it's like I guess people would call it cringe, I guess, to like
mhm,
have main characters kind of act the way that they do, right? If they were like this all the time. But I feel like there's still potential. I mean, like if a series like Devil May Cry can be as big as it is, and like get its own Netflix adaptation, you know what I mean? Like I think it kind of paves the way for it to be still be in the market in some way, shape, or form.
right.
I think we'll probably see some more stuff like this out there, but I don't think it'll ever be the norm. I think it'll definitely be like I probably like to see more like an indie developer take a crack at it and see what they would do with kind of like an idea like that, as opposed
Yeah,
to some sort of big AAA studio. Because I feel like
because
they
yeah, there
like
are guidelines for them, and they there's kind of like a ball and chain on the developers, the people who work for those bigger companies that they can't
yeah,
always have the leeway they want to make a game a
yeah,
certain way.
and I think that's why like this one is like so weird, right? Because like you go through and you see it and you're like, oh well, this only makes sense because
Mhm,
it's old, right? Because it came out XYZ years ago before anything else that came out. You know what I mean? Um,
mhm,
and I feel like it's like in the same sort of similar vein. Like I keep referencing God Hand a lot, but it's the same sort of idea of like there's a really cool game that a lot of people liked, but it
yeah,
just failed, despite of it. And I think it just turns into one of those situations where You might have really liked it, but it might have not been profitable. You know, like the the accolades and stuff don't really fill the people's pockets. You know, what I mean, people can support themselves with just that was good, kid, and then you move on to just
Yeah,
playing something else that was going to definitely make more money. You know, which is why like for other sort of scenarios, like I don't get mad when I don't hear that Final Fantasy IX didn't get a remake ahead of Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII was always the more popular, you know, if
right.
not the most popular one in the
That's my first
franchise.
PlayStation 1 game.
There you go, right?
Yeah,
That's like being like I don't know. It's kind of like a. I think the only company I think ever think has ever done something like that, where they kind of gave into the demands, and then they kind of saw why it wasn't a good idea to follow those ideas in the first place. Was it when Nintendo did the year of Luigi, and then they were like, "Oh, this is the worst recorded year of all time." You know, we made practically nothing, and every game that we tried pushing out just didn't do well. Period. You know what I mean? Despite people online or whatever forum, you know, or like whatever space that people are trying to throw at the wall, saying we want it, we want it, we want it, like that does not equal the rest of the global market that
yeah,
is
it's
not in
very
that
niche.
space. Yeah, and like that's why like I think this is 100% a niche type of space. Like it's cool, it's great, and if you like it, you're really gonna. If you like anything else that we mentioned before, you'll definitely really like this one too. But there's a reason that's not gonna get a sequel or a remaster. You know,
Right. And speaking of like older games, this game is based off of an older game, at least aesthetically in a way, and also it's another pixel game. This is Chained Echoes. This is developed by Matthias Linde, solo dev, German, which is interesting. And it ended up doing really well. But I consider it a hidden gem because I want to shine a light on it, right? So if you like Chrono Trigger, if you like Gundam, if you like RPGs, this is a good game right here. So yeah, you can run around. You can play this almost pretty much anywhere. You know, you can play this on PC. You can play this on Switch. You can play it on Steam Deck. You can play it on PS5. I do recommend picking this one up. It's got its own unique battle system, um, and that I really like actually to stand a bit apart from what you're used to seeing. And it's got an interesting story too. But yeah, here's some of like the Gundam like battles when you're in the gears that the armors that you guys wear in the game, and you have like some of these battles, and there's different mechanics when you're fighting in those suits versus on the ground. Your abilities change, um, but you know there's like a war going on, and there's this big plot, and there's all these like different interconnecting stories that are taking place, which is really interesting. Um, but I've seen this pop up a couple times, but it's good to bring it up again. And you can later when you meet more people from the party, each person has like kind of like their own special abilities. You know, like this guy can he has an armor break ability, the main character that you play as, but you meet a character who has a steal ability, a character who's like an assassin who has like high critical abilities, things like that. And then you you know you can interact with some of the world. You see how he jumped over that, and you can climb on some of those rocks. And
kind of gives me
but
a vibe of like some of the Fire Emblem games, just in like
yeah,
the designs and stuff.
yeah, the aesthetic, yeah.
Yeah,
And trying to see if I want to go ahead and like skip forward just because you know this is like a boss battle right here
that was
where you
pretty
can see
sick.
how different characters have like different abilities and stuff like that. Like there's
This was like a cosplay group that did not coordinate their outfits at all.
yeah, yeah, and it's a world. It's one of those worlds where you have like anthropomorphized human beings. You know, like
Yeah, yeah,
talking lion, talking dolphin with an eye patch, which is kind of cool. Um,
yeah. The dolphin's probably the one you want to worry about out of that group.
but but yeah, this is one of the other sections of the game where you know the story splits off, and then you're playing as this other person. and I don't want to spoil much, so I'm not going to say who it is, but you're running throughout the city, and they're pretty big environments. They're like, you're really running around like a city-sized pixel version of a city, but
I like the background in there, like the
yeah,
details and stuff, like when it was panning down
mhm,
and everything. And that's what I really like about some of these like games. Honestly, just like being able to like really portray like that there is a world out there and that you're a
yeah,
part of it. You know what I mean? And like that the
yeah,
actions you're doing really matter. I think that's
and
pretty
then
cool for them to be like, no, you are a part of something way bigger than you think it is, man.
and as you play too, like with the different characters in your party, you can sometimes unlock a combo with particular characters in that party. Like this
Agreed.
character may have a combo that she can do with this guy with the bow and arrow.
Right,
And it's
right.
cool because you don't have the screen doesn't change when you get into battle. It just, you're in battle now,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll become turn based. But you do have like a skill tree. So there's that. And there's a lot of like hidden areas too that you gotta be careful because like they're like running throughout the map. Some places I've missed and I had to come double back, and then you can actually find little nooks and crannies and stuff like that. But very reminiscent of the olden days, Chrono Trigger, games like that. I believe that's what the creator said inspired him. He wanted to make one since they're not really making a lot of. I've heard rumors about a Chrono Trigger remake, but um, we're still waiting on that. Some of those
Yeah.
rumors were kind of might have been misinformation, but
I mean, it also gives me a little bit of a Mana series vibe too. Just the aesthetics and kind of like the world.
yeah.
I definitely like that.
And you see on the top left how it says like overdrive.
Yeah.
You know, there's some attacks like when you're using your attacks and stuff like that, it starts to build. Like if you attack too much, you can
Mm.
go into the red, and then if I'm not mistaken, you might miss or you may not do as much damage as you normally would. So
Mm.
it balances you just spamming attack versus using some of your other abilities
Right, you
that
got
could
to play
help.
more
Like
smart.
yeah, so there's this balance. You want to keep an eye on that bar so you're not attacking too much or
Right.
doing too much of a certain attack. You want to stay in the green zone, basically.
I mean, that's pretty cool though. Like it kind of reminds me of like Bravely Default, right? Like the
Yeah.
mechanic of
Hmm.
like you could go ahead and you could buff up, and give yourself 20 turns, but you're also gonna wait 20 turns, if
Yeah.
you don't if you're not able to do what you can do in that spot, So I like that there's consequences for your actions to put it politely, right?
Yeah, and it is a really good one. And like when the characters meet, and then there's these other backstory that comes up. There's also characters that are like, they can attack and stuff, but they're really kind of built for buffs. They buff your other characters. So
Mm-hmm.
like during a single battle, you can swap them out. So like you don't have to like leave a battle to swap out your party. You can just do it in there. Like, oh, I need the poison guy here. Oh, I need the guy to buff me here. So you
Right.
can swap them in, and then, but you got to keep in mind like some combos you may not be able to do if that person's not in your party any longer. So there's some joined in. Thanks for joining. If there are any hidden gems that you are aware of or any games you're curious about, be sure to drop a comment. We appreciate that. And then we can probably show it up on screen if you have any suggestions. So there's that one. Did you have another game or to share, Sonny? Or
I mean, we're hitting about the hour mark. I mean, I could like start going about like these old like PlayStation 2 demo discs. you know?
yeah, yeah. Okay. In that case, I have two more that I can
I actually do have something
share.
else I can pull up actually here while you
You
got
do?
that loading
Okay.
though. Yeah, because
Okay.
they
I
came into my
almost
head like
ended the
going
stream
through.
again by accident. Yeah, because it's like the button is like it's stop and it's like right
I
underneath the
know. It's
screen share. But let me stop the sharing. There you go. What's the other game we got?
Yeah, so like I'm a really big fighting game fan. Like I'm pretty much more like currently into like Tekken, Street Fighter, and
Hmm.
I've done some more combat stuff. And Guilty Gear is a really fun game
Hmm.
I've been into right now. But as
Probably
we're
kick
kind of
my ass.
thinking,
I suck at fighting games. I
I
like playing them. I
hey
just suck
dude, I never said I was good at any of them. I just said I like them.
at.
All right, just because I'm in the game doesn't mean I'm number one. It just means I'm in the pool. Someone's got to be the father, and that's usually me. Um, but one of the first games that I ever ended up playing, Like the first video game I ever played that was a fighting game was Tekken 3, and
Hmm.
that was like my favorite, and it's probably still my like nostalgia big favorite ones. But it got me into thinking of like what's a series that just like has not been treated well, or just something that never really got the chance to like move itself up. And that's when I started thinking of probably one of the first games I played after Tekken 3, in terms of the fighting game space.
Hmm.
Bloody Roar 2.
Oh my God, I love Bloody Roar. Bloody Roar is the fucking. I love that game.
Now, obviously, it's not like a small little indie developer, right? I mean, it's Hudson Soft, right? Who had gone through and made this game. But Bloody Roar 2 was like the
What happened
first
to
game.
them? Because I don't know.
So, for anyone else who doesn't just know about this game, for whoever's watching, long
I
story
used to
short,
play
you
this
get to
game.
pick this, cast of characters who are all fighters, but there's like basically they have this power and ability to basically turn into like an anthropomorphic beast, right?
You need to bring this
Um,
back. You need to bring this back.
Dude, it is a really sick
Oh my
just
God.
series overall. I
I'm
would
gonna
always
switch
play
to
as Yugo. Yugo was always my guy. Um, uh, but it's a pretty straightforward thing. Like all the stages were just these basic rings, you know what I mean? But if you were
mm.
like able to like get your like if you could do sick moves like this and like throw them out of like the out of bounds and stuff, and just like instantly get the win, it was
Is
so
he a
good,
lizard? What was
so good.
that?
Yeah, Busuzima is a chameleon.
Okay, yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
his aesthetic basically. But the Bloody Roar series basically got done pretty dirty. Um, and I think part of it is
Mm.
just because like partially like that the aesthetic just didn't work. There's actually I gotta find the YouTube channel that talked about it. He was a part of Best Friends Play. I think it was Matt McMuscles is his thing. Yeah, he has a series called
I'll
What
also
Happened.
I'll
That
also share. I'll share the screen for this Bloody Roar just because it's hitching up for some reason. One second.
yeah.
Screen share Bloody Roar.
But yeah, long story short, this was just a really cool game I used to end up playing all the time. And like I don't know, also grew up playing like some of the older Virtua Fighter games too. Um, it was just like super fun to like go through and play, and just like they had like all these sick ass like there's all these ultimates and stuff, and like
All those
obviously you look at
polygons.
I know you could count them all basically. But like I don't know, it was just like such
I
a
remember
interesting
having such a
concept.
good time with this game, and then like you transform. Oh wow, he turned into a freaking
Yeah,
beetle.
he turns into like an insect is his whole thing. But there's like other characters like later on in like the other parts of the series where it's like it kind of got
Hmm.
crazy. Like there's people who just trying to like full on dragons and like gigantic elephants and stuff like that. Um, I think they only made to Bloody Roar
Was it an
4, and that
Super
was it.
Saiyan over here?
Yeah, that's Sheena. She's I think she's a tiger. Yeah,
A
like a
leopard.
leopard. Yeah, yeah. But like I think what was the biggest problem that kind of like ended up like out of all of the games that I've played, Bloody Roar is probably like one of the coolest in terms of concepts, in terms of like
Hmm.
having this sort of mechanic. And it's not the only one. I mean, there's definitely other games that have some sort of like comeback mechanic that's like pretty interesting and stuff like that. Like I would think of even like some of the Soul Calibur games too has had some like really cool stuff in that kind of realm. Um,
Oh snap! He's a the
yeah,
mole.
he's a mole. He's a ninja mole. Is his aesthetic.
And
Um,
what's hers? 'Cause she's
the
gonna
the one
die.
getting absolutely murdered. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hers was weird. Her character is that she's a half beast, is what it's called, which is
Hmm.
basically their excuse to say that she can basically be like the stereotypical Japanese like cat girl. They just all they do is
Hmm.
give her claws and some ears, and that's it. You know. But yeah, like I think the thing that Bloody Roar just like couldn't succeed on was finding like a good storyline that could really stick and kind of like help continue it on.
They
Um,
could totally do that today. That's the thing. Like
Today
I
they
could
could.
see a
I think it.
story. I could see it being so popular they even make like a Netflix TV series.
I mean, probably, but I think that like the bigger issue with Bloody Roar was just that like the other games won at the time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
compare your Blade War series
And we had
to whatever
Tekken,
Tekken and Street Fighter were doing. Like, I would say
Soul
like Tekken,
Calibur.
yeah, Tekken 3 to like Tekken 6, and also like Street Fighter like 3 to Street Fighter 4, like the final definitive edition when that came out. Like, those two games in the fighting game community were the ones that I always would say was like on top. You know what I mean?
She's a
And
bat.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and like I think the problem, like especially like Blade Roar too, is like the problem that they ended up facing in like in the later games was the fact that like they just couldn't get these characters right, and unfortunately, I think there was just like a really big heavy push for crunch, and I think the game suffered for it. So
Mm.
like for context, I think the last game came out on Xbox, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so you just didn't get the best of it. But this was one of those games that I got like on the PlayStation demo disc, you know, that I just like
I think
saw at
I've
first.
those
Yeah,
demo
the
discs, man.
dude, that
They
that
had
was my
some
bread and
really
butter.
good games on some of them.
Yeah, that you could only play for like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
You know?
they had God, I forgot the name of that game. I'll have to show it because it's a hidden gem. It's the one where he's like the anthropomorphized like fox or dog who rode inside of a like a mini Gundam thing, and it had like the long arms, and you can use them to like flap to stay in the air for a little bit, and then you could pick things up and throw them. I'll have to find the name of the game because it's like
Yeah,
I
the
have it.
moment you
I
show
just
it to
forgot the
me,
name of it.
yeah, the moment you showed it to me, I was like,
Uh,
oh yeah.
but
But yeah, this was a super sick game, and I really wish that the series could like do something else with it. I would like to see more out of it, but I'm not holding my breath just because I feel that whoever currently owns the IP is it's in a folder in a coffin, you know, that is just
yeah,
that I'm pretty sure there's no major interest in wanting to get it back, unfortunately, but it is what it is.
that's all right. This next game, another Pixel game. I love Pixel, like I mentioned. So let's just see. Or I guess 720 is. I'm gonna see if I can get a better one here. So let's see something HD. Let me see here. There we go. 1080p. This game, CrossCode. Oh man, this game is definitely like a mix of some other games. Top-down pixel, but action-based game. Also puzzles, um, where there's you have different abilities and stuff like that. And I don't want to spoil too much stuff, but I'm gonna just skip through some of the story here, especially the beginning stuff. But like here, this is the beginning where you're like learning how to play the game, right?
Hmm.
And she can send out these like high powered energy orbs to attack. And later on, you unlock many different kinds of abilities and stuff like that. But you're running and jumping. You can dodge. You actively dodge. So it's very action based oriented. But then it's also RPG because you got the story and you're running around and there's a city and there's this underarching story that's
Right.
going on in the background. So it's something I recommend. And a lot of times you see how she's like bouncing the orbs
Yeah,
off
yeah,
of the walls and stuff, right?
that's very
You'll
cool.
need to do stuff like that for like some of the puzzles. And it's cool, like when she runs off the edge, I think she automatically jumps. Anything with that orange can pass through, but then when it has like a solid blue, it bounces off. So there's things you got to figure out. Um, but I love this game. I wanted to get
I
it
like
on
the
Switch
sprites.
originally. Yeah, me too. There's actually a joke where you can. It's like a DLC. Paid DLC is like $1, so you pay for it.
Hmm.
Where they like, I think there was people complaining about the female character and
Oh
wanting
yeah.
a male character or something. So they made like a DLC character, and it looks hilarious. It's her, but as a man.
Oh
All the
yeah.
text in the game stays the same, but you look like a man. Like you'll see the
Oh, that's
pixel
it.
sprite
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
man,
yeah.
and it's called like manly or something like that.
Oh,
So- and it's got the stubble and the beard and
right, right,
stuff.
right.
Wearing the same headset and outfit
Yeah,
is hilarious.
same skirt,
But
everything.
yeah, but yeah, you go throughout this world, and there is a world, and you can talk to people and stuff like that. Um, but the performance on normal Switch is just not up to snuff. It It doesn't give you the option to lock to 30, so it's trying to constantly run it at 60. And then when you get into the world and city and certain portions,
Oh,
even though
right.
it's a pixel game, it can't handle it for whatever reason. It starts chugging. So I actually got it on PC and downloaded it on my Steam Deck. So this is something that I do recommend. It is fun. I'm gonna see if we can. I want to show some of the later portions. Oh, look, 7 hours, perfect. So you can see some of the actual world and towns and actual battles instead of just like training stuff. So you can see that's not all she can do though. There's different
Mm-hmm.
abilities and stuff you can equip, which changes like how she can attack, elemental based stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have yet to beat this game yet, but I do like the game. It's still I have such a backlog, guys. For those of you watching, it's insane. And I have super ADHD when it comes to my games because I'm all over the place. But I collect them. I like collecting really good ones, and I do actually make my way around to beating a lot of these games. Um,
Oh, it's the gamer's dilemma. You know, what I mean, it's like every big title that
yeah,
comes around, or
see
like
that
even
combo? She's
yeah,
fighting with her
that's pretty
fists now.
sick actually. Yeah, she said, I am the gun, I am the weapon.
She's like, yeah, she's like, "Tut, tut, 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 tut."
That's pretty sick.
She's doing the Dragon Ball Z, and then she has her like chakrams and stuff, and beats the shit out of you. And then,
Yeah, she goes,
uh,
from being
but I
uh,
love that you can jump. Like you're jumping around the world. It's not just like flat, even though it is technically flat, but it's an illusion, right?
yeah, but allowing you to like cross terrain and stuff like that, and there's the idea that there's things at different levels and everything else like that.
Yeah,
It makes the movement
and
feel a lot cooler than what realistically might actually be on paper. But like the aesthetic and the way they like map it out makes it feel a lot more fun just traversing through the world.
yeah, like this is one of the towns um, that she's in, and there's so many hidden things too. Like you can actually jump up. You see how he's jumping up on the boxes? You can
Yeah.
jump up on the barrier and actually
Oh
run
wow.
along that. And one of those is like a mission, and you have like you can see all these quests that you have to do and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So very RPG. Definitely a hidden gem in my book because I feel like more people should know about it. My cousin brought this up to me, and I was like, "Dude, I love this game. Yeah, I already know about it." And yeah, this is the first town you go to, and see, like you can't get there unless you jump on top of one of the things. But in order to jump there, you have to like jump on this like
You have to
box
start all the way
here.
from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's like the
then
start of
run
like a
over there.
Tony Hawk grind, you know what I mean? There's one part you gotta start from to be able to hit all the access points on there. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a hidden game, hidden gem. So that's CrossCode, and you can get that on mostly everything. That's on PC, that's on PS5, it's on Switch. You can get everywhere. So I recommend that one, and it's been on sale. I wouldn't pay more than $10 because I've seen it go that low. So
Well,
if you're watching, just keep that in mind. But for the last game that I was going to show is this other hidden gem. If you like Paper Mario, and you like games like Super Mario RPG, got to check out this game, Bug Fables: The Everlasting Sapling gameplay. Um, this is that game. It's got all the similar stuff, like when characters talking. It has that I don't even know what you call that, the chibi talk,
oh, like
like when they're talking.
the Animal Crossing type of like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But
the garble.
it's got the adventure and battle style of like Paper Mario. Um, it's basically what it is. But I don't mind when games copy off of a winning formula. Just do it well. And this game does do it pretty well. And then you got the battle system where you got to time everything properly. And I know it looks silly, but it's just got the gameplay to back up the
Back up
aesthetic.
what it's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good game. Um, and you can pick this up on Switch. You can pick this up on PC. I pick up a lot of games on PC, even though I'm getting the Switch too. I pick up a lot of games on PC because then I can play them on my Steam Deck on the go. So it's like I could take my PC games with me. And this is one of those games that's not very um,
Wow, that is very
intensive.
much 100%, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door.
Yeah, you saw it, right?
Yeah,
You recognized it
yeah,
immediately.
immediately.
Yeah,
I mean, I get it. I think some people might see that as like, oh, it's just a ripoff while they, pay more for a worse product. But
yeah,
that's not the case here. It's more like it's an homage of like we believe this is just the right choice for this aesthetic and gameplay loop that we want to do. And I think there's nothing wrong with like wanting to do that. I think like there's been really great games that have been made in as a spiritual successor to something that has been realistically refused to be continued. You know what I mean? It's like we haven't gotten another Paper Mario in quite a while. You know what I mean? And there's no real hope or hype really that we're getting
Yeah.
anything else beyond that. So people will take it in their own hands to do it themselves and then create something else on top of it. You know, like I can think of like currently at the closest comparison I can make to is like the Jet Set radio games. You know, it's like how
Mm-hmm.
long like there's the original Jet Set Radio slash Jet Grind Radio, and then we got Jet Set Radio Future, and like Future is obviously like the best one. You know, I mean between the two, like it is just the first one, but 10 times better in terms of every aspect. Um, and then we got nothing. You know, like just literally left in the dirt. But it's just such a core game that like in my memory, it's just like the coolest thing ever. You know, combining all these elements and just really like it just blows you away. It's just its own aesthetic that you can't just really get anywhere else. And then you get a game like Sunset Overdrive, I believe is what it was called, the
Mm-hmm.
one that was the Xbox exclusive.
I just
With like
picked I just picked that up on sale on Steam
yeah,
for
like with the
pretty
whole
cheap.
the whole aesthetic of that game too is just like running around on grinding on rails and stuff like that, grinding on telephone poles to travel between this that. Obviously, they put their own cool little spin on it, right? It's not like too carbon copy, but it's like that type of movement is its own sort of deal. And then there was another game that was called like
Didn't they
Grind, I
make
think.
Spider-Man? The developer of that, I think.
I
Didn't
believe
they?
they
Or is that
maybe
Insomniac? I don't know. I
it
don't
could have
remember.
been, but then like the more recent like true spiritual successor to like the Jet Set Radio series was Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everything from the aesthetic, the music, the literally you're running around tricking, doing crazy stuff, graffiti. You're doing breakdancing battles with people. Yeah, it is the coolest thing. It's just again in the same spiritual successor. It's also just a couple of hours long. You know, like you could be in a session, you could speed run through the whole game if you wanted to. People already have, but just such a yeah. I mean, like, dude,
Yeah, I love that aesthetic too. I love how they made it still look like one of those older games.
yeah, and it's all just style, you know what I mean? It's all it is, and like everything from the movement and like the way you could do all, and like obviously they decided to like take it up another level by like not only just making like you can parkour, you can freestyle. I love this mechanic as well of like the way you can do spray paint because before
Hmm.
in the Jet Set Radio games, you would pre-pick what you wanted the design to be based on like whether it was a small, medium, or large design or whatever. But in this game, you walk up
Oh,
to
that's
any of
cool.
these sizes, right? Any of these
Yeah.
sized canvases, and you can pick any design you want by putting in that specific pattern. You know what I mean? So you can really
Mm.
customize the tags that you put in. Um,
My uncle beat this game. He told me he did. He was playing it,
It is
but
such an awesome game, and the music as well. Fun fact for anyone who's watching or listening: the original composer of the Jet Set Radio games, Hideki Naganuma, he also contributed a song to this one here. And I actually like that they didn't just bring him in to do all the songs because the original Jet Set Radio soundtrack wasn't all of his music either. You know what I mean? It was a mix of a lot of other stuff. You know what I mean? So Hideki Naganuma was like, "I'm just gonna do some stuff and." You guys gonna have fun. Like, literally, all of this, man.
yeah, dude, it's just screaming Jet Set. Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I'm like, and it's like the studio that made this game is just like so good. I think if I would love to see them make. I mean, I won't spoil anything, like, but Bomber Cyberpunk definitely deserves to be its own game. I don't think it needs a sequel, but I definitely think it needs something else in the same world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think like the story of this crew is
There's another
definitely
game
set.
that is I forgot what it's called. I own it. But I got it on sale, put it on the backlog, and it's similar to this. Oh yeah, that's right. You said you could switch. I saw him running. He was riding a skateboard. He
Yes,
was riding.
so like you could literally like just like start off by like
That's
running
cool.
around and doing like you could just start parkouring on your feet
You got a
and
cell phone too. That's cool.
yep. Yeah, you can navigate through menus. You can go through and like change the tracks. You get messages from people. You could literally use the camera too. There's a couple of like challenges and stuff. If like you want to
It's a
unlock new
loop de loop.
characters,
That's cool.
where you want to go ahead and like you have to take a selfie from like certain places, or like you'll get a text message from a character that says "Meet me here," and they'll send you a picture of a certain place, and you have to figure out where that is on the map. But like all the crews are super cool. The aesthetics are super beautiful, and like if I remember correctly, a lot of the art that was submitted um,
Hmm.
was from fans. There
Oh,
was a lot of
really?
artists. It was very community based for a lot of the stuff that they were uploading. So a lot of people's designs are in it.
That guy just
Yeah, yeah,
sorry, it's just he just ran up to him.
I
He's like,
know.
"I'm gonna fucking kill you."
Yeah,
That
yeah,
shit is hilarious.
we're not here to make a political statement, but the game decided to do it for us. But
Damn.
no, like, dude, everything about the game, like, it just oozes style in every way, shape, or form to me. Even just like with these side characters here, it just like that's this crazy taxi reference, already in the back of like how they do it. But
Yeah,
like in the original
I
Jet
heard
Set
that's
Radio,
coming back too.
exactly, and like I think this game was kind of like one of the main pushes for Sega to like go ahead and kind of like put something out to let people know they were making something with the Jet Set Radio remake. And like we haven't gotten anything else other than just like a quick glimpse of the trailer, and some people have kind of been like disappointed to an extent because they feel like it's one of those like generic um oh, what if Jet Set Radio was in Unity, you know what I mean, or Unreal Engine.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
those who don't recognize, Jet Set Radio's over here on the right, just showing you like how similar they are, and but they're really good games,
yeah, and it's one of those things like again with that game that you were just showing us earlier, like
and the music.
yeah, it's like everything is not done as a ripoff. This is meant to be a spiritual successor, and it's doing its job at being blunt
Hmm.
and upfront about it as an homage and wearing it on its sleeve, but then going through and like telling you like, dude, this is what it's all about. You know what I mean? And like they all
Yeah.
pull from the same roots of culture. Like Jet Set Radio was a fusion between like hip hop, breakdancing, art,
Hmm.
graffiti, skating, all these types of like things, right? And then
Yeah.
just like putting it inside like a cyberpunk Japanese Tokyo experience, right? With really cool character designs and aesthetics and ideas. And it really was trying to do a lot to pull and be the part two that people really wanted, Um, and I feel like obviously in this video you're going to be like, they totally ripped them off. That's bullshit. Yeah, of course, if I put an apple next to apple, you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe you invented Apple 2.0. Disgusting, But when you play the game, it doesn't feel like it at all. Just because like the core of the story is so different compared to Jet Radio.
Is there any kind of gameplay footage of it, or is it?
No, there isn't any gameplay footage of it. There was just a short
No.
trailer that came out, which was that where all there was like a short clip of DJ Professor K. I'm pretty sure it's that big highlight section.
Right here. Yeah,
Yeah,
most
that's
replayed.
it. That's exactly it. Yep.
That looks good though. What? Oh my god, that would be a day one
It
for me.
oh it looks absolutely sick. I love it,
What?
and it
It's
looks
like
like
it's
that they're
still
implement.
keeping. It's like it's still keeping the original style, like cell shading sort of, but more realistic.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and it also looks like from like what they're trying to showcase in the movement is more movement. It's not just jump and grind and trick, right? It seems like they're going to have some sort of climbing or parkour and stuff. But like obviously one little detail like you kind of notice like when he's doing his backflips and stuff in Jet Set Radio Future, they always started like doing this really cool thing where like every character had like a colored trail of light that would like push around behind
Yeah,
them. You know what I mean? And like it looks like that they're keeping that. And I believe correctly that this is supposed to be more inspired by the first Jet Set Radio, the original Jet Set Radio, not Future. So more of the
yeah.
designs I believe are going to be pulling from that. And I believe I recognize one of these maps. But the
Hmm.
only thing I'm more interested in to see is what direction they take with the gameplay. That's the thing I really want to see. That's kind of maybe make or break it for me. If they keep the gameplay more in a Jet Set Radio Future style, I think that's what's gonna really elevate like to be one of the best things ever, right?
Right.
Because because it was just so cool to have it be more sandbox and just to let things come to you as opposed to here's a mission, go do the mission. Okay, now go back to the hub and now do the next mission. Blah 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 blah, and like throwing you into scenarios as opposed to the other way around. Let the world come to you as you make a change in it, right? I think that's what really set apart Future to me as opposed to the original, and I really hope that's what they're doing with the remake as well.
Yeah. That is something to be excited about. And what I'm glad is that Bomb Rush Cyberpunk and games like that have come out first, because I know that the creators who are working on this game are going to look at that and they're going to be like, what is something that we didn't have in the original, but Bomb Rush implemented that works and is good that we could try and put something in? Because I'm all for that. Like I'm all for like companies collaborating, and that's why I don't mind when people like copy and some people hate and say, "Oh, this is a copy." It's because it works. You know what I mean? And if you can expand on that, I don't care which developer comes up with it. Like there is this game, I forgot what it's called, but I'll just mention it briefly and then we can end the episode. But there's this game that looks exactly, almost exactly like Horizon Zero Dawn, like
Oh yeah.
the Horizon game, but also fused with like Monster Hunter. And it's like supposed to come out. And I looked at that and I was like, wow, this is like almost like to the T, like almost. And I started laughing. But at the same time, I was like, but honestly, it looks good and I'm going to play it. I'm like, I made, a little jab at it for that, but still going to play it.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
100% agree with you, man. If it's a good time, people are gonna want to be a part of it. Period. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think it's like I can imagine some companies might get more kind of in the business side of things and be like, well, they're ripping off our IP or whatever. But like, you can't claim a game mechanic. You know, it's like they're not.
Yeah.
If they're like, for
Nintendo
example,
does.
well, I mean that's a whole nother story. If you accidentally have a game that has all of the letters of Nintendo in it, they might write a cease and desist to in your game,
Yeah.
you know. But that's because that's how insanely
I
protective
hate
they are
that.
with their IP. But like for other games, and other developers for the most part, you know what I mean? Like Guitar Hero and Activision or Blizzard, whoever it was, they're not going after
Rock Band.
Clone Hero. I mean, even Rock Band as well. When Rock Band
Yeah.
first came in, because you don't own rhythm games. You know what I mean? You don't,
Yeah.
and because Clone Hero, or forgive me, Guitar Hero wasn't the first guitar rhythm game. There
Hmm.
were Newgrounds Flash games I remember playing before I started playing Guitar Hero. You know what I mean?
I
So,
remember that was all the rage back then when they came out.
oh for
Oh
sure. I
yeah.
mean, Guitar Hero 3 was like the one I was always play all the time, and like especially as a musician, like that's definitely like my core playlist growing up.
I sucked at it, like on harder difficulties, all the colors, and I was just like, oh my god.
I could play expert when I was like a kid. When I was like 9 or 10, I could play expert because I was just in my room all day playing it. And then like I tried going to like an arcade, like a while back,
Practice,
in a
man.
bar, and like I tried playing it again. I was like,
Beat
hell no.
Saber. You got to try Beat Saber if you haven't.
Dude, I needed. I did play Beat Saber for a hot minute when I had an Oculus, and I was
Hmm.
like, this is cool, but I'm like, damn, I'm out of shape. I don't want to move around.
Yeah,
There's
I
there's
feel it.
a. I mean, I'll bring this up and we can kind of wrap it up because we're going a bit over. But in, in the spiritual successor of Guitar Hero, there's a game called Clone Hero that's PC based, which is pretty much just Guitar Hero Rock Band rhythm games that people
I haven't
just
heard of
play.
it.
People just like do their own custom songs that they'll put out, and they'll also
Hmm.
like rip out the libraries from like other Guitar Hero Rock Band games and stuff, and they'll just throw it out there. And you can have custom layouts and stuff of like the fretboard and the
That's
wheels and
cool.
stuff coming in. You could do everything with it, and it's super sick. There's a lot of crazy things that people do with it. There's a dude on YouTube named Asai, who does a lot of crazy videos, and he's played like a lot of like meme songs or whatever on there, but that like his reactions are super hilarious. I'd recommend for anyone who's interested in watching somebody freak out and laugh, but still also be like 100%ing what they're doing at the same time. It's like truly locked in. But yeah, it's gonna keep happening. Regardless, people are gonna want to find the things that they enjoy and want to make another thing out of it. Out of admiration, out of flattery, not out of
Yeah.
we can make a buck off that. These indie developers know better, and then when they
Yeah.
don't, they get hit way harder than they think they will. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you always got to be careful. But with that, we'll end the episode here. Hope you guys enjoyed. And for those of you who may have watched this far and are wondering what happened to the intro and everything, I apologize. There's another stream out there on my channel that is part one. I'm just going to rename them just to avoid the confusion. I accidentally hit the end stream button instead of the stop share button, but there's that. But if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can be notified on future updates. I have a couple episodes coming out this week with the Switch unboxing, as well as how my transfer process in the Nintendo Switch is gone. If anything's missing, anything jumps out at me that people should be aware of, I'm going to include that in there. So be sure to check those out. And I also want to give out a shout out to Sunny. Thanks for being here. And also, we were supposed to mention this earlier, Sunny, but your music, all the music with the exception of the outro that I have, that goes to my cousin, um, is from Sunny. He made the music himself. Very talented. If you love lo-fi, if you like jazz, if you like Persona 5, it's up your alley. I promise you. And I love it. Can't get enough of it. Thanks for sharing that with me and for the channel and for the listeners. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Always appreciate it, and thank you all for checking it out.
Yep. And with that, we'll catch you guys on the next one. This is Lunar signing off.